Unfortunately, I am going to check this right now because I do not want to take any sorts of chances that I'm not streaming. Yep. Oh my goodness, can you hear this? I am sorry about that. I just wanted to see that I was going live. So, I've been a little frustrated with the past few days. You can see the light is out in my room right now because it's hot under these lights. Don't care how environmental they are, it's hot as fuck. So, got my water ready. A little late this morning, but I had to get some stuff done for the house. So, today's plan, I'd worked on the feet over the weekend. This was a better shot on the light. There. Now that I gave myself a few moments, I'm gonna work on the it's been one of those mornings. It's gonna fun to do. There we go. The cytoplasm. Try to keep an eye on the chat via my phone over here. But until that time, I've got my Payne's White. Try to avoid getting into the shadow here because I wanted the shadow to override the cell so that you can see that it's still attached. Past week I've spent pretty much sniffling because baby was sick. So baby being sick, he had to stay home from daycare. And as anybody who has children knows, it's impossible to do anything with children around because they want to get in everything, especially if they're toddlers. So, as much as you love them, they do get into everything because their minds are growing. Try to take careful strokes to make this pretty clean. Damn it. I don't goof there because I already... There we go. Okay. Ideally, I should use a smaller brush for this, but right now, since everything is so big, I'm trying to keep everything kind of big strokes. So I've been doing a bit of research between mainly trying to look for pictures mostly, but just to understand the disease that I had. It was a world of statistics, who gets most likely gets what, their onset. As far as I understood the leukemias, it's cancer of the body where it interferes with the normal development of white blood cells, whether they're formed in the bone marrow or the lymph nodes. Now, the one I had was developed in the lymph nodes because of the type of cell that it is. It's a lymphocyte, hence the name lymph. They fight different types of viruses or bacteria. Your body produces it in two different spots. Don't let me sing. It's kind of morning. This doesn't sound like copyright free, Twitch. But maybe it is, I don't know. Just that beat sounds very, very familiar. Okay, I'd already worked on these two. So I've switched to one camera for right now, just because my paintings are so big that it's kind of hard to really just narrow in on one area, since I don't tend to work on one area at a time right now with it being this size. And I've had a little bit of frustration with my telephone. I have an old Android Nexus 6, and the Droid Cam app on it, it not only eats the battery life a lot, but it gets a little frustrating because it just disconnects from the Wi-Fi a lot. Okay, try to make that all solid. I think I'm gonna switch to these. Oh, wait, I can get to these ones now. a very sad song. Actually, now I think about it, I could paint just over this and then just do the shadow again. So F it, let me just do the shadow again. Oh, totally missed one on the bottom. Here I am, finally detailing the other ones, and I totally forgot one. Saving my wonderful handiwork. See, this one could add that purple, but I might just do this. Just color it a little bit. Try to give it a little variety to each of these. Alright, so titanium blood cells. Titanium. The Payne's Gray plus titanium white. Give it kind of a bluish, purplish color. Oh, goodness. Try and deal with this. There we go. Alright, now's the part to try to figure out what I'm doing next. Really need to fix this, but I really don't want to touch that yet. I should though. Because the longer I let it sit, the more it'll haunt me. So I kind of want to push all this back so that we can develop those red blood cells. I'm going to try to use a mixture of alizarin crimson, which is kind of a reddish purple, or a purplish red. Oh, excuse me. But I've got to darken it, so in order to get it like this, I'll add a touch of, I was going to add a touch of dioxazine purple, but I'm wondering what this deep magenta will do. Let's see what else I have here. Could use Payne's Gray. That'll kind of make it bluish and black really quick. Burnt umber will give it kind of a greenish tone, and I don't really like the greenish in there. I'll try Payne's Gray, and if I don't like it, I know I like dioxazine purple. First, gotta figure out how to open this Payne's Gray. Oh my goodness. It's getting harder and harder to open. Oh, there we go. Oh my goodness, these tubes. They just dry up. Well, Payne's Gray looks black on the palette, but it's actually a really dark gray. And it's kind of a bluish gray. It's the only way I've been able to cheat and have blue in my palette. The question is, do I want a big stroke or a small stroke? I'm trying to pick my brushes to make sure I've got the right size and everything. So I'll probably use what is this, a 7 flat and a 2 round, just to kind of clean up the edges so I don't blow it up too much on the brush. First things first, I like to load up on the paint or make it too dark. That'll work. Because otherwise, if I get it too dark, it'll look black, and I don't want it to. It's already doing it. Nuts. Didn't want it to do that. Just wanted to darken it a little. Well, I got straight pigment. I haven't tinted it with white or anything. So I want that pure color. I don't need acrylic flow release because it's flowing pretty good, but I do need a retarder added to it to make sure that it stays wet a little longer. What I might end up doing, which I'm going to do, is find my acrylic primer and extender, GAC 100 from Golden. Got exactly what it stood for, but it tends to break up the polymer, the binder, and the paint so that you can extend it. And that way you don't have to use as much paint pigment because it tends to get really expensive. And I'm just going to try to fix up all this area here. The reason I'm doing all this because I'm not liking how it's kind of looking too peachy. So I want to get like a purplish color like this here to push all this back to pop these out. Oh, I forgot this thing has pockets, so I should use it for pockets. This part always makes me go, yeah, see, now it's very dark. It's probably a little too dark than I wanted. But what I can do is spread it thinner. I'm scumbling it a little bit. So it's not exactly purple. Like a second. And actually, I guess I didn't need to extend it as much as I did. I'm going to have to re-taut this canvas. It's a little bouncy. There we go. I want to get some paint on here. Sorry, I'm going to stick my head right in front of here. I just want to see that I'm getting it. You see, I'm not liking how I'm getting the paint in there. So I'm just gonna cleaned up the edge there. Since acrylic is a water-based paint, I can just go in and fix that. Now, hopefully that's looking a tad better. It's a little hard to see at that angle because I've got my window wide open, but hopefully it should appear a little darker. You see it's kind of a purplish color. Let's only get rid of all these yellow stripes here. You don't like something, just paint over it. I recently met an artist in St. Petersburg who paints in a medium called, or paint called casein. And unlike acrylic, which is kind of a plasticky paint, casein uses milk as its binder. And I'd only known one other artist to actually use this medium, Lee Bonet in Tampa. And this artist in St. Pete uses it because, like he says, it's like you could come back to a painting, it dries quickly like acrylic, but if you don't like something, he said, you could just, once it's dried, you could just take a little water and wipe it right away. So you can give the effect of molding and sculpting with that paint. So maybe someday I'm going to try it. He may have just sold me on it. Maybe I'm not going to get in your way. Trying to stumble out a little bit. Might be itching my legs. I think something got in my room and it's biting my legs. These mosquitoes love me. There we go. Yeah, whole background back. I don't know what I did. I am gonna find this darn mosquito and I'm gonna kill it. It's eating me in my room. Little bastard. Just want to come into here. I'm just kind of slowly working my way around. Coaster. Just gonna try to grab this little brush and try to outline things to make this a little bit quicker. Dark feet. Okay. Well, it might be bad to make this all the same. I'm not liking how bright it stands out against here. So that's why I'm changing it. This is really messed up music right now. All right. Alright, so I'm making headway on this. I'm feeling a lot happier about it. Still itching my legs. I'll take a moment and pause and go down in here, underneath my mom's leg. I had a dream once that I changed this leg and extended her foot and decided that I was going to include my mom's feet in there as well, since I included my foot here. But, decided against it. Dreams aren't reality, so. So I recently entered a art competition on manhattanarts.org, who promotes artists online through exhibitions. They have a sister website called The Healing Power of Arts. And so artists who work with art that deals with art therapy, that they use for personal healing, that they help other people with it. Pretty much if it has to do with using art to heal or represent healing with art, people are on the website. And last year, I was on the Healing Power of Arts exhibition, Inspiring the Positive. And out of, I think it was like 800 something people who applied, 60 artists were selected. And I was one of the 60 for this online exhibition that ran last year. I was very happy and excited. It was a super big honor. Even though it was only an online exhibition, as you can tell, things are going online now. So it's more mobile, more convenient. It's another way that people are out in the world. And but I entered their other yearly show called Her Story. And even though I'm not finished with this painting to enter for that story, I submitted images from other paintings that are also in this cancer series. And hopefully I should hear something about getting into it next week. Crossing my fingers. Because what's nice is that they work with other curators to not select the artists, but to give awards. And one of the awards is promotion. And as anybody knows, in Twitch stream, promotion is the only way to get noticed, to get in front of more people, because there's lots of stuff on the internet. And one of their things is that they would get awards for either money, promotion on the website for free, which free promotion is even better. So I'm kind of crossing my fingers that I can get one of those awards. Then even if I don't get an award, even if I can get an exhibition, it's another show that I can put on my website and on my curriculum vitae, my resume. Artists and other certain performers who work in academics have a resume called a curriculum vitae. It is pretty much supposed to be everything that you've ever been worked showed in, that you've been published in. If your work or yourself about your work has been out there somewhere in the public, it's supposed to be on there. And mine's a little narrow right now because I worked full-time as a warehouse worker for 7 years, and before that I was in printing for another 3 years. So for a total with this one company, working for 10 years, full-time, with overtime. And so I was only able to paint on the weekends with days off. And it was quite difficult to get paintings done. It took me, I think, 2 years to get one painting done that was about this size. And this painting I started, I think, last year. But since I became pregnant with my first son, and then had the son, me and my husband decided that I would just go full-time and try to paint. And then here I am. I've actually made more paintings since I've had my son. And even though he's moving and such now, he's in a wonderful daycare owned by my mother-in-law. So I count my stars that I am very, very fortunate to be able to have that. So I'm taking advantage and now I'm starting to stream so that I can share with you all my process. Because although I was starting to recording video, then editing the video, and then posting the video, it was becoming a little cumbersome. It's not bad. And of course I know that we can export these videos to our YouTube channels now. Streaming worked very well. So with much encouragement from my husband, who's been telling me to do this for ages, and then another friend who said, yeah, you should totally do it. And then of course I listened to the other friend because I needed more than just one person to tell me. More than just my husband. But that's a joke. So, since streaming, about not even a month ago, I finished one other painting that I've been working on for a few months now, on and off between taking the baby to daycare, doing my volunteer work that I do with Tampa Regional Artists in South Tampa, and then just general, lack of confidence and things. But, so hopefully I can get an exhibition of sorts with that show. And then I can keep sharing my work, maybe start selling some of these things. That is my hope. Appreciate you watching my journey here. This is actually forcing me to overcome a lot of social anxieties I've had with talking about my work, which apparently is not all too uncommon with artists. So, I'm actually going to have to mix some more paint soon, which is fantastic. I think this guy thinks he's the greatest. Pro tip, if you have to tell them that you're the greatest, you're probably not that good, buddy, but you know what? It's neither here nor there. Alright. Spreading that a little bit more. Sorry if you didn't get to see what I was working on. I tried to turn my camera a little bit so you could see exactly what I was working on. I was adding more paint up in here and here to cover some of this peach orange. And yeah, I gotta get that spot there. I've got to actually mix more paint because I ran out. This guy's very silly. He thinks he's the greatest. I think he's just being very... There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. Try to get that a little bit darker. I think I'm going to switch up my playlist right now. There we go. Sorry, time for a little bit of metal. Because I was not doing the thing very well. Alright, now, pardon me for a moment while I change up my paint and wipe my paintbrush out. Because I need to mix more paint. And since I've already have all this wonderful Payne's Gray, I don't need to fight with that tube again. Make sure it's the same darkness. There we go. It's a little bit more opaque than it was last time though, so I'm probably going to try to clean up on the edges over here too. I'm not liking how that's looking, so, and over here as well. Pretty much I'm going to just cover everything, so. Harder. Actually, add more. So I need more of this paint. Trying to waste all this paint. Apparently I do need to fight with my pain spray again. My sniffles. Oh, that's burnt umber, not pain spray. Oops. There's my pain spray. I like how this is considered metal. Okay, just need a little. This doesn't really sound like metal to me. There we go. It wasn't darkening. I guess it had dried out too much. Change my water. More water. All right, back to business. All right. So I was getting all of this, and actually before I get all that, I probably want to move up here. Get these. There we go. Yeah. See, now everything kind of looks pretty similar, but it's all going to work out okay in the end. I'll probably add a little bit more paint spray to differentiate it a little bit more. Let's see where I need to darken parts of the image. God, that's so much better. Otherwise, it was too peach. You had to push that stuff back. Trying not to block the image, but it's kind of hard to when you need to see. All right. I almost forgot, I also need to make platelets for this painting. house since I'm moving it. So I'm going to work on the bottom of the legs. Let me see if I can get that angle better for you. I just got to wait a few seconds for the camera to turn. For this, I'm just going to use a smaller brush to try to get in all these small areas. So I need a brush that has a finer tip. So 9, so 2. These things are never consistent. Okay. Use a size 5 round. And actually, it works pretty good. There we go. Hearing that rough, it's probably my dog. You say that he's barking at murderers. Likely it's my husband come home from work for lunch. Oh, that was a little bit of a Payne's Gray pocket. Here we go. We'll run with it. Okay. Time. It's gonna stream to about 11:30 today, just so I can get some stuff done today. I wanted to see what I can finish with this part. try to use this to help clean up some areas that have the blue here. When I wasn't so careful with my brush strokes. All these here. All this stuff kind of drives me crazy. That's not clean. Nope, that's the blender going. My husband's one. Eating his smoothie. This is to help clean up all this. This darker. Let me get up before I bust up my knees here. Welcome to the stream. Hope y'all are doing fine today. Lost some of my paint here. That's fine. Should really use a bigger brush for this part just because there's so much. But I could just do this. killing me right now. Let's see what I got to. I like to go through with one color, work on a part at a time, let the paint dry, and go to another color, because otherwise I just start mixing and mixing and mixing, and then it just gets messy and muddy. And then that's never a good time. Just try to clean up these edges here. Not always successful, but you try. And then moving the paint around so it doesn't look too... Alright. Oh, I also have a spot here. So you're trying to clean this up, so. Well, I'm pretty quiet today because I'm just trying to paint. Really feel I'm getting close to finishing this one. Later, I'm gonna work on this paintbrush down here. I just haven't touched it yet. Another layer of this dark here, so that I can close this up. Oh, I missed the blue and I missed the purple here. So I'm gonna have to fix that at some point. It's always important to try to double check where all your little pieces are so you don't miss them. That. The only area I haven't really touched is up in this corner, but I'm kind of liking the yellow. Now let me move this here. much everything. Okay, guys. I think that's it for today, at least for right now. So I could just let this dry and simmer on it. I like to work on it in pieces, like I said, because I like it to marinate's not the right word, but I like to think on it and look it over and see how it will come about. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me paint. Hopefully it wasn't all my back, but I'm gonna have some lunch. Have a good one.